From the High Definition Production Center of Troy University's Broadcast and Digital Network from Alabama's International University, this is Troy Trojan Vision Midday.
Hello and welcome to Troy Trojan Vision Midday for November 9th, 2017. I'm Summer Leach. Thank you for joining us. For a few hours yesterday morning, Troy University's Claudia Crosby Theater was a temporary home for the Alabama Supreme Court. The justices of Alabama's highest court held a special session this morning on Troy University's campus. The court heard a pair of cases before a public audience, including students of all ages. The court will routinely go on the court in order to give students and members of the public a more convenient opportunity to view the session. This was not the first time the Supreme Court has been on campus. The court held a special session on campus back in 1991. Troy University Student Government Association is looking for ways to improve the way they serve students. And as Page Weeks shows us, the SGA has some creative ideas on how they get it.
As this semester draws to a close, Troy Student Government Association is taking students' feedback and putting it into action. In order to get that feedback, the SGA is tweaking some of their previous tactics to better suit students.
People can come up and actually get a prize or candy or something that they'll be interested in, but also we're going to have a small survey that would point at questions so they can answer the question.
As students prepare to make one final push to get through the rest of this semester, the SGA hopes to hold events that will motivate and encourage students as they prepare for the next few weeks.
I don't want students to get so caught up with how they're done with this semester, how they're done, ready to be done with their finals, and I want them to still have fun and still try to take that break they need.
Barry says that taking breaks is important in order to aid students during their studying.
To support our groups on campus, to support our athletics, and to support themselves by getting some mental health time for them to go and have fun while they're still trying to do all their homework assignments and get ready for Christmas.
During the next few weeks, there will be several opportunities for students to get plugged into campus. Events include the ISCO Festival, Troy's last home game, Christmas concerts, and other Thanksgiving/Christmas themed events. Page Weeks, Troy Trojan Vision News.
The SGA's next meeting will be Tuesday at 6:30 in the Hawkins Hall Auditorium. The meetings are open to all students. Ghost towns, narcotics, and buried treasure? No, we aren't talking about pirates, but the lost antebellum Alabama. Those treasures have been found by a self-made historian who presented a lecture in the library Tuesday afternoon.
Treasure is not always discovered where X marks the spot. Sometimes you can find it right in your backyard. Jim Phillips, a collector and self-made historian, discusses the lost antebellum treasures of Alabama during a lecture in the Troy University Library.
I call it Lost Antebellum Alabama, and it deals with old antebellum ghost towns, forgotten stagecoach routes. It's going to deal with some actual true stories of lost treasure and found treasure. All of it's antebellum.
Now, why bring a treasure-based, narcotic-filled lecture to the library of Troy University? Kelly Wilson, the social sciences and government documents librarian, explains.
We were thinking, treasures, that's interesting. That'll get their attention. It's really fascinating that all these treasures are still around and hidden. So we want to get students interested in history and wanting to learn about the past, wanting to learn about what has shaped us into the Alabama we are today.
Besides the Lost Antebellum Alabama lecture, many events happen here at Troy University's library, free for students, faculty, and community members.
Please come. We have a lot of stuff lined up. Come in the library, see what we're doing. We're constantly revamping the library. What better way to find it than come to a lecture?
The next coming event in the library is called Witness to the Holocaust on November 15th. As the semester begins to wind to a close, many music organizations on campus are beginning to showcase their talent through recitals and concerts. Last night, the Trumpet Studio had its turn with its fall recital. Nathaniel Rodriguez has the story.
Troy University's Trumpet Ensemble has performed their fall recital Tuesday night in the Long Hall Band Room, finishing off months of preparation. The performance featured pieces performed by the whole ensemble, as well as pieces chosen and performed by students in self-formed subgroups.
The students kind of form into their own groups, decide who they want to work with and how they might be best matched. And then the pieces that they performed, I generally guide them with a few suggestions and a few ideas, but it's up to them to make the final decisions of what pieces they decide to perform and work on this semester.
Huff said that performing in a chamber group like the trumpet ensemble presents the students with the challenge of executing individual parts on their own.
If they're in a large band, a lot of times there's multiple people on a part, and they can kind of go along with the flow. But when you're in a chamber music setting, particularly those smaller chamber groups that have no conductor, it's really up to them to make sure they've got an internal pulse going on, and that all of them are communicating and agree on tempo and style and articulation and volume and everything.
One student said performing independently also places even more responsibility on the part of the students.
Well, the best part about being in trumpet ensemble is the fact that you're away from the director, and it's basically you and your decisions and your group's decisions that matter, and it's a lot more individualized rather than, band and individual.
And with the recital finished, the trumpet ensemble plans to perform holiday music on campus sometime later in the semester. Nathaniel Rodriguez, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
The next event on the School of Music's calendar is the Collegiate Singers Concert on November 17th. And now for a look at what's happening across the country and around the world, we go to Kaylin Pleasure at the Global News Desk.
President Trump continued his overseas trip Wednesday morning, where he was expected to talk trade and North Korea with Chinese leaders. Before leaving South Korea earlier in the day, Mr. Trump had a message for North Korean leaders Kim Jong-un. Steve Portney is traveling with the president and has more from Beijing.
President Trump has touched down in China, the third leg of his Asian tour. His first stop, the Forbidden City, where he sat down for a welcome tea with Chinese leadership. In addition to trade, the president is expected to focus heavily on reining in North Korea.
History is filled with discarded regimes that have foolishly tested America's resolve.
That was Mr. Trump addressing the North Korean situation while wrapping up his visit to South Korea. He spoke at the National Assembly in Seoul, urging Kim Jong-un to abandon his quest for nuclear arms.
The weapons you are acquiring are not making you safer. They are putting your regime in grave danger.
The president's day got off to an inauspicious start. An attempt to make a surprise morning trip to the border with the North was aborted just minutes before landing due to a soupy fog that blanketed the demilitarized zone. President Trump now begins 2 full days of meetings with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, with the president in Beijing.
Vice President Mike Pence is visiting Sutherland Springs, Texas today, where 26 people were killed in a church shooting on Sunday. This as more details surface on the suspect's troubled past. CBS Courtney Zimboski has the latest from Sutherland Springs.
Vice President Mike Pence landed at Randolph Air Force Base in Texas this afternoon. He'll meet with survivors of the First Baptist Church shooting as well as victims' families. 16-year-old Haley Kruger was one of those killed. Her best friend, Allison Gould, says she just wants to know why.
Why these people, these innocent people? Why would you do that to them? Like, what have they done to you?
Since the shooting, a series of revelations has painted a dark picture of the gunman's past. Devin Kelly was a suspect in a 2013 sexual assault. The previous year, after he escaped a mental health facility, a police report called him a danger to himself and others. Kelly was caught sneaking weapons onto his Air Force base and threatened to kill his commanding officers. He was discharged for bad conduct after being convicted of beating his then-wife and her child. The Air Force admits it failed to properly submit Kelly's criminal history to authorities, something that would have prevented him from buying guns.
Some local lawmakers are calling for tougher gun laws. They say that Texas needs to act now to keep guns out of the hands of people who aren't allowed to have one.
It's real easy to look back and say, well, none of the laws that we have in place or none of the background checks could have stopped this. Okay, what about the next one? Because it's coming. It's going to happen.
The pastor of the First Baptist Church says services will be held there this Sunday, a week after the deaths of half of its congregation. Courtney Zabowski for CBS News, Sutherland Springs, Texas.
3 members of UCLA's men's basketball team have run into legal problems in China. The team was in Hangzhou ahead of a game Friday when the freshman players were accused of shoplifting, a crime that can carry a 3 to 10-year sentence in China. Danielle Nottingham has the latest from Los Angeles.
UCLA basketball tweeted a photo of its freshman stars as they departed for China. But a trip that was supposed to be about sightseeing and basketball has taken an unpredicted turn. An ESPN report claims LiAngelo Ball, Cody Riley, and Jalen Hill were arrested in Hangzhou, accused of shoplifting from a Louis Vuitton store near the team's hotel. Ball is the brother of LA Lakers rookie Lonzo Ball.
Let me tell you something.
Their dad, LeVar Ball, is the outspoken advocate of his high-profile basketball family and has appeared with his sons in a reality TV show. He is traveling with the team in China.
We'll be fine. Everybody making it a big deal. It ain't that big a deal.
The Bruins are scheduled to play their home opener next Wednesday here at Pauley Pavilion, but at this point, it's unclear whether the 3 players involved will be back.
According to China's entry and exit law, a case must be fully resolved before the suspects are allowed to eventually go home.
Students we spoke with on the UCLA campus are surprised at the allegations and the attention they are getting.